welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mama of 3, Bougie Vintage, and today's video is part 5 of My Sister the Tasmanian Devil. And so if you are not privy, if you ain't caught up, girl, there are no run backs, okay? You got to go watch parts 1, 2, and 3. But before you watch parts 1, 2, and 3, in order to know what the hell I'm talking about, you're gonna have to go back even further and watch The Bachelorette Party from Hell. Once you watch that, then you'll be caught up. The order of operations here is Bachelorette Party from Hell, My Sister the Tasmanian Devil Part 1, My Sister the Tasmanian Devil Part 2, My Sister the Tasmanian Devil Part 3, My Sister the Tasmanian Devil Part 4. And now we're here at part 5. This series will conclude in 7 parts because 7 is the number of completion and 8 is new beginnings. And my sister was actually here for a total of 8 months. I cannot squeeze 8 months into one video. I mean, I could, but like I don't have the time, girl. Especially now where editing is concerned. So that's why we've broken it down. And I'm so happy to have you guys here for this series. The next series I'm about to drop on y'all. Ooh, girl, but my lips are sealed. Okay, so in the last part where I left off was just saying y'all, because my sister and I were in the office and we were talking about money and how, you know, we could trust each other with our bank card. We know that each other has money. We even talked about how we can't picture doing a roommate situation with anybody else. I said, this is the ideal situation because I've always regarded my sister as responsible. But the tea was, I didn't really know her like that. I just assumed, girl. And what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. That was definitely my fault. But I really wasn't assuming. This is somebody that has a career. You know, she has degrees. She's always just been really responsible. But she also has definitely always had a shopping problem.
I'm invested in my body, bitch. I'm done.
But as a child, I wouldn't have known that she had a shopping problem, that she's had debt before or anything like that. That wouldn't have been my business as a kid. So I'm not knowing this when I'm entering into the situation with her. Obviously, when I entered into the situation with her, when she came here, though it changed from just a visitation to moving in, we never put anything in writing. Actually, we did, but we had a verbal agreement. However, we didn't do first and last situation because I'm not thinking this is gonna go south because everything has been fine. We were basically doing the trial run when her husband was still here, and then shortly after he left, was still like an indicator that things would be fine. It really wasn't until after he left and a little bit of time had passed, maybe another week or 2 had passed, that I realized I made a huge mistake. The reason I keep reiterating the fact that she didn't have to work and she was getting a full salary is because, as you guys know, this is my job. I have to work or I don't make any money. So I do make residual income. Like if I decide to not post for a few months, I'll still make money, but it will taper off. And we're actually going to get into that during this series about a time that happened. And so the money situation, my sister did a really good job at building trust, not only with me, but with my mom. So like the very first time that she was supposed to pay rent, she had my rent to me like the day before, or the first thing in the morning on the 1st, like she ain't wasting no time, girl. And I was like, period. Because obviously I've had experiences in the past with other folk that want pain. And so when I saw that she was like, she don't play about her roof over her head, these are things that my mom had actually instilled in us. If you got it, you got it. If you didn't, joke's on you, I guess. But like, these are things that my mom always told us when we were growing up. Don't play about your rent. Don't play about your bills. Then don't play about your food. Okay? That's why I've never played about my rent and I've never played about my bills. Those are always priorities to me. And so if you've been watching the content and you see the stuff that happened with the tattoo and the Montreal partying and the Comme des Garçons sweater, like those things to me were playing with your bills and playing with your your rent and not cool. And I wasn't raised that way. So it threw me. Not only that, but we got kids. Like, you can't be playing with your rent when you have to keep your kid. We are not kids anymore. Like, it's one thing for me to live in a shelter when I am childless. Now, because I had a partner that was willing to spend money on foolery and risk putting me and my kids in danger, so to speak, or homelessness for a Comme des Garçons sweater, like, my head will never be able to wrap it around that. Okay, I like that about my sister, that she was serious about her rent and her bills. She don't play about it. So once the bills came in, they would come in on different days. So I would just pile them up in this notes that's me and her, and I think my mom might have been in it, about money that's owed. We had it listed out, like it was really, really organized. So we had bills at the top. In the middle, we had like a miscellaneous items. And then on the bottom part of the bills, we had groceries, how much was spent at the grocery store. And so because we are keeping things this organized and neat, and everybody can see what was spent, when it was spent, you know, it's not a big deal. It's good. So when the bills would come in, I would split them in. I would get my calculator, divide it into, put whatever she would owe on the list. If we went half on anything, which I'm going to talk about in this, because this video is pretty much about money. So like, once we decided we were going to go half on anything, it would go under miscellaneous. And then last section, like I said, it was groceries. So if we went grocery shopping, whether she went or I went, whatever we spent at the grocery store, we divided the list into half. We add it to the list, and then it gets paid whenever you feel like paying it. Obviously, you don't let it go sit there for a month and not pay it. But if it were to sit there for a week or two, it's not a big deal. So I want to talk about some of the miscellaneous items that were on the list. Because when my sister got here, because of autism, she was saying that like there's certain items that autism will cover because they're considered sensory, or they reimburse for a lot of things. So she always has to like keep her receipts, because they reimburse because autistic kids can be destructive and they can break things, so you get allotted a certain amount of money so that you can replace items frequently. That's what she was telling us, girl. I can't fact check it to this day. So when she was telling us these things, we just take it, because why would she be lying to us? Like, it didn't make any sense. So one of the miscellaneous items that were on this list was a trampoline. Now, we bought a huge trampoline because there was 5 kids total, right? Nola had just been born. Obviously, she's not going on a trampoline, but she would end up on there eventually. She loves that thing. So the trampoline was like, I think it was $1,600. Yeah, I think it was about $1,600 after tax, or just a little bit over $1,600. And so let's just call it $1,600 and say we owed $800, and then she was paying the other $800. I never thought to get a trampoline for my backyard. As a kid, I always wanted one, but like I never thought to get a trampoline for my backyard because my kids didn't, not that they didn't need it, but like the reason that we got it was because her son and daughter, because they're autistic, they tend to run away. My kids don't leave my yard. And so our backyard is not fenced. And so we are trying to enjoy our time outside without having to chase after the kids. And her son will literally go on the trampoline and stay in there forever. So she was getting a trampoline. And so she comes to me and she's like, do you want to go half on it? She had actually come to me about going half on a few things. But when she came to me about the trampoline in particular, this was the first time I kind of caught her in a weird thing, like manipulation. Because she had already told me about autism and the supports that she gets and the reimbursements and stuff, when she brought to me the trampoline, because it's so expensive, I pressed her about it, because I'm like, can you explain to me how this works? So if you buy a trampoline, autism is gonna cover it, right? So if I go half on it and they reimburse you for it, I don't really understand. This was exactly the conversation. She was standing in my kitchen on the other side of the island, and then she kind of was like, okay, so, and then she had to think very carefully about what she's gonna word so that I don't catch on. But I had already peeped game. You ain't about to hustle me. I'm a hustler, babe. I'm a hustler, baby. Okay, you are not about to hustle me. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. Okay, but I'm just taking it like I'm a side eyeing. Okay, but I'm I'm gonna go with it because I know my kids are gonna enjoy the trampoline anyway. And I didn't want it to be a thing either. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I wasn't sure if we were gonna have to ask her permission for my kids to go on the trampoline if I didn't spend the half the money on it. The trampoline's $1,600. When she presents that receipt to autism, they're going to give her back $1,600. I don't have the receipt if I didn't buy it. So if I put $800 into the trampoline and she brings the receipt to the autistic court team, I don't know what it's called. If she brings it to them and gets back $1,600 and she only put in $800, where's my reimbursement? You know, that's what I was kind of asking her in the kitchen. So she basically said to me, so that I would get off her back in the kitchen, she said, well, if you come in on anything that they're going to refund, we would look at it as ours versus just mine. And so that's why I said, like, okay, so I wasn't sure, like, if she buys a trampoline for the backyard, are my kids gonna have to ask her if they can go in it? But it's in my backyard. Like, that's kind of crazy. And they're her nieces, like, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm like, so I'm peeping game, but like, and that's why I said the narcissism thing, because there was a lot of gaslighting going on. And I didn't say that, but we haven't even really got to that part of the story. But like, this was the beginning of it. This is when I was getting flashes of what was coming. Yeah, the trampoline situation. We did indeed put the $800 into the trampoline. She obviously had the receipt. I guess she gets the money back for it, whatever. And so we were looking at it as ours. The other miscellaneous item that was on the list was a Cricut. And again, this is something that she came to me with. She asked me, she's like, I need a Cricut for work or whatever, like, which she didn't. But she's like, do you want to come in on half of the Cricut? Cricuts are expensive, girl, especially if you get like all the stuff, the fun stuff with it. And so the Cricut and all the vinyls we got, everything came to like over $700. My half of it was $367. It was added to the list thing. It was sat there a while, actually. I didn't pay it right away because I didn't think I needed to. We go half on the Cricut, and the only time I was gonna use it for DIYs on my channel, I'm like, oh, I've been wanting a Cricut, like whatever, like, you know, so let's go half on the Cricut. Also, because things are moving so smoothly, it's not even occurring to me that things are gonna go so sour that if this living situation doesn't work out, there's gonna be any kind of scamming. Even though the trampoline situation was a dead giveaway that their scams are coming, okay? I just wasn't thinking anything of it, like, you know, especially because she's my sister. Like, what? So the Cricut situation happens, and then she had told me something about like, if she wants to get a pool for the backyard, it has to be inflatable. Autism will cover an inflatable pool. The kids love the pool. Something like the sandbox. The kids love the sandbox. So like, at that time, we didn't have a pool back there, like a kiddie pool. We didn't have a kiddie pool back there yet, but we were looking for one because summer's coming. It's gonna be hot. Like, the kids need to get in there. And so I asked her, hey, do you want to come in on half of the pool? And she's like, and I'm like, what is that about? She's like, when you get to the store, like, send me a picture or whatever. Either which way, she didn't end up coming in on half of the pool. And now I know it's because if I buy it and I have the receipt for it, I'm not gonna give her the receipt for it for her to get a reimbursement. And that's why she wasn't coming in on half of it, because it doesn't benefit her to spend half of the money if she's not gonna get back the full money plus the half that I spent on whatever it is, like she gets with a trampoline, like she gets with the Cricut. Because the Cricut, she would be claiming it on her taxes as a work expense. She gagged me, y'all. She would be claiming it on her taxes as a work expense, and she has the full receipt. This is fraud. She would be claiming it on her taxes for the full amount of the Cricut, but she only spent half of the money on the Cricut, but she has the receipt to say that she spent the full amount, and I didn't get back my half of the damn Cricut, but we're not at that part of the story yet, so just forget that I even said that. That being said, when I asked her about the pool, she don't want to come in on the pool. Fast forward, me and my ex and the kids are out, and we know they would die for a sandbox. I know that her kids, because they're sensory oriented, they would want a sandbox as well. But because of the pool incident, and I think there might have been one other thing that I had went to her with, and I was like, hey, you want to come in on half of this? And it was like, she was like iffing and butting and saying no. And then I just like, so when we were at the store about the sandbox, I'm like, I'm not even gonna ask her if she wants to come in on half of it, because there's really no point. The sandbox was like $80. Guess whose kids were in it more than mine? Yeah, her kids were in the sandbox, didn't want to leave. They were in the sandbox more than they were in the damn trampoline, okay? And so her kids are in the sandbox, and she didn't come in on half of the sandbox, but they're my niece and my nephew. So, like, I'm not gonna be like, they're using this sandbox. Their mama didn't put in half of the money on the sandbox, and I'm a bitter Betty. Like, what? It's a sandbox for children to play in. It's COVID. We can't bring them to the park to go play at the sandbox at the park. It's nasty because of COVID. It's germ infested. So we're trying to make the backyard what we could make it because lockdown was happening still. So pretty much very early on, I was catching the play that there was a weird thing going on when I would go to her and say, hey, are you coming in on half of this? Even though she had expressed to me that if we were to get an inflatable pool, autism would cover it, you know? And so I'm looking for an inflatable pool because I'm like, great, you know? Anyway, that is just to give you guys a gist of just stuff that was happening. When I'm telling you guys these things, I'm not telling you them in any particular order that they happened in. So like the trampoline situation, and they didn't happen one after the other like the way I'm expressing it to you, but I'm just giving you all the examples in one shot since we're shooting this in a series format. Get it? So remember in part 1 when I was expressing to you guys that she would copy everything I do and it was always strange to me? Well, I think by part 2 or 3, I told you guys I was so cool and happy with it, and we was the Bopsy twins and we were dressing alike and it was giving cute. Well, it started to happen with my kids and it was getting real weird, okay? One day we had gone to Costco and my sister decided that she's going to buy her kids 2 iPads. When they had arrived to my house, they had 2 tablets that were not Apple. So they had 2 working tablets that were completely fine. They did not need new iPads, but my kids all had iPads. So, well, was Noli born yet? No, I think this happened before Nola was born. That's why I say I'm jumping here and there and everywhere. So because my kids had iPads and they have like these funny cases on them, like they're called iGuide. So can y'all see that? Oh, it's green. Let me not use the green one, duh. So this is the case that my kids have. We have them in different colors. Her son, I guess, kept trying to take like my daughter's iPad from her, even though he had a tablet, but his tablet didn't have a case on it. I don't know if it's because they didn't make the irrelevant. And so my sister used that as an excuse to buy 2 brand new iPads because my kids had iPads, and instead of, you know, telling her son, no, it's not yours, and just teaching him, yes, he's autistic, but he understands quite a bit. No, it's not yours, leave it alone. She ran to the store because everything is a competition. And she bought them 2 iPads, and then we went to the mall. She searched high and low for the exact same cases that are on my kids' iPads. And she's making excuses as to why she needs to get those specific cases. And I'm like, child, any case will do now. So we drove to and fro. We were calling stores to try to find these exact cases for the size iPad that she bought her son and her daughter. And we go to the mall. We went to one of the booths and we bought the iPad case, which obviously I had to tell her where I got mine from. And so, because she couldn't find it online. So we go to the store, we pick up the iPad cases, and her kids have new iPads when their tablets were completely fine and in working condition. They weren't cracked, they weren't broken, nothing. Matter of fact, the iPads, the tablets that they had actually had SIM cards in them so that they could use them like on long drives and stuff, versus the iPads did not. And so really it was just about saying like, my kids have iPads, so her kids have to have iPads too, which is weird AF, okay? The iPad thing it was strange, but it was one of the first occurrences. So like, I'm not gonna say I didn't bat an eye about it, but I also wasn't pocket watching. So like, I'm not thinking, can she afford this? The gag was though, actually, the gag was when we were at the Costco, I actually had to give her cash so that she could complete her transaction. I think I had to give her $20 because there wasn't enough on her bank card, what she was using. So this didn't get put on my mom's credit card. But when the Apple products got put on my mom's credit card, girl, I can't wait to get into those parts. Woo, child. So you're like, but wait, there's more? Yes. Okay, it's giving OxyClean. She's like doing the most you know, and finding any excuse in the book to get either the same things or, you know, step it up a notch and get something better. And so these patterns continued where the children were concerned.
One incident that happened actually while her husband was here was the first time me and my mom looked at each other like, is this real life? So pretty much what happened was my kids had like a Tonka fire truck, and I guess her son really wanted to play with it, but my kids and him got to fighting over it. It's literally like the stores are about to close. Like it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And my sister and her husband run out to the Walmart and buy him a Paw Patrol fire truck. And my mom was like, are you serious? You're really going to the store right now to buy him a fire truck? Because for what? It's bedtime. So that was the first time we saw, like, this is ridiculous. Like, there's something ridiculous going on here. The child did not need $100 fire truck because there is a fight ensuing over the fire truck. Like, tomorrow we could just figure it out, you know, but she literally ran to the store that day and spent $100 on a Paw Patrol fire truck.
So boom, it's Belle's birthday. Okay, I'm throwing her a little shindig. You know, she's having a party. Her cousins are there. This is great. Like it's COVID, so nobody can really come to the house, but they live here. So we're having a party. We have candy. We got cupcakes. We have presents galore. Baby, when we went to Toys R Us, they were sold out of the Barbie Dream. So we bought Belle a Malibu Barbie dollhouse, like a vacation home, pretty much like a fold up. So it's not as big as the dream house. The dream house is huge. It's not as big as the dream house, but it was what was available at the time, because if we were to order it, it wouldn't have got to the house on time because we was very last minute. We buy her the dream house. We buy her a few Barbies, whatever. My kids been playing with Barbies. Like they've been had Barbies, you know, they're little girl. Belle's birthday is May 5th. Apparently her son kept running into my children's room to like put like his Peppa Pig toys in their dollhouse and blah, blah, blah. And she kept saying, oh, he's looking for a house. He's looking for a house. He's looking for a house. She did buy him a Peppa Pig house, but I guess when he saw the Malibu dollhouse, it was bigger than the Peppa Pig house that he had, and he wanted more storage space. Girl, I don't freaking know. This is not Diamond. So I really don't know what that was about. But that being said, let me just, on the topic of Peppa Pig, okay? One thing about it, kids are gonna be kids, right? My nephew and his sister, actually not even really his sister, just my nephew, was pretty much obsessed with Peppa Pig at the time. It was the only show he would watch. And my sister had got him some like cars with Peppa characters in the cars, but he couldn't get the Peppa toys out. They were stuck in there, like they were made to stay in there. So he couldn't get it out, so he was frustrated. So she went back to the store and she got him Peppa Pig toys. So now my kids are like, they want to play with his Peppa Pig toys, but because my nephew has special interest, he's very, very much gatekeeping his toys. My kids wanted Peppa Pig toys. Obviously, I'm just gonna get them the Peppa Pig toys because their cousin will not share with them. Versus if he comes into their room, which he was totally allowed to do, they will share with him. But since he was not sharing and would fight them or bite them, whatever, I had to go and get them their own set. So they're not feeling like, you know, they can't use his stuff, even though they really couldn't. That being said, at first I didn't even get them the real Peppa Pig toys, girl. What happened was I was at Costco with my mom and we saw like this thing called My First Books, and they come with figurines. And I said, oh my God, the girls will love this. So we bought them the books, and they came with like 10 figurines, and the book is like $6.99 or something like that, or like $10.99, $9.99. Girl, is cheap, right? So we bought it and my kids were ecstatic. They loved it. They were like, yes, we got our own stuff. And I'm like, I know that's right. Okay, when I can save, I'm gonna save now, because them Peppa Pig toys is not cheap. So yeah, so he wouldn't share with them, but they would always share with him. And so he was running into the room and using the Malibu dollhouse. Belle's birthday, like I said, was on the 5th of May. 4 days later, you see a charge on my mom's credit card, I think it was Toys R Us, for the Barbie Dream House and an F ton of Barbies. And then my sister had this conversation with me telling me that her son, she's like, I think he's like over Peppa Pig now. He's like so into Barbie. And I'm like, yeah, sure he is.
All I can do is shake my head.
I kid you not. Okay, what did Black China say? Cut the cameras. Dead ass. I'm not even joking. This was real. Like, she said it just like that. I think he's over Peppa Pig. He's like into Barbie. Girl, no, he not. No, he's not. He don't care nothing but... Girl, he didn't care nothing but them damn Barbies, okay? So, she buys him a dream 4 days after Belle's birthday. She went out and bought, not the Malibu house, she bought the dream house, okay? And knowing, too, that I had told her that we didn't get the dream house because they didn't have it in damn stock. And I wasn't about to buy Belle the Malibu house and then order the dream house for it to come later. My kid is satisfied with what she got. Like, she don't, you know, until they see the damn dream house showing up at the freaking front door. And then it's like you're causing problems, you know? But of course, that's for me as a parent to say, to step in and be like, y'all don't need to have everything you see. That's not necessary. So that was something that was constantly happening. Like, my kids had these cups. She running out and buying the same damn cups. My kids have plates, bowls. She running out and buying the same damn plates and bowls. And it's like,
you 36.
Why? You know? And so it just was forever competition. Not only her trying to compete with me, babe, you can't compete where you don't compare. Okay? What money bag yo say? So now you're doing it with the kids, and it's weird, especially because you're not enforcing the children to share. And that's because she really didn't want her kids to share with my kids, because there was issues there. I know you guys are sat there thinking like, girl, when are you gonna get to the part where she tries to ruin your life? We are getting there, okay? We are getting there, okay? So she's buying the same thing. She's doing this and that. She's spending all this money, running up a check, running up a credit, okay? Because she ain't running up no damn check. She was spending money like she believed that she was one of the housewives. Even though all this stuff is happening, I'm not really letting it faze me. Like I said, I'm peeping it, but like, what do I look like at my big age confronting my sister about her copying me? I don't care. Do what you want to do, girl. Just do it on your own dime, okay? So the iPad situation happened, the dollhouse situation happened, and then there was this incident that happened at Walmart. My kids had chairs in their room, right? They weren't beanbag chairs. They were these round fluffy chairs, and they were rainbow, and her kids would always run into my room and sit on the chairs. And so one day we're at Walmart, and I don't even remember what we went for, but we ended up walking past these bean bags. We were, at that time, we were actually doing story time at nighttime in her room with all the kids. And so she was getting 2 chairs for her kids, and the chairs were, I don't remember, they were Paw Patrol. They were kids show chairs though. I was telling her, please do not bring that up in my house, because every time she buys something, my kids are losing it, okay? And I'm like, it's not even necessary. They can sit on the floor. They've been sitting on the floor this whole damn time. They don't need beanbag chairs. And like, I just didn't want the headache, you know? So we're in the store, and we're deciding for the longest time whether or not we're gonna get them. I said, well, if we're getting them, we need to be getting 4 beanbags, because I am not gonna deal with the drama that is coming with this. Like, I'm the type of person that I'm gonna pick and choose my battles, okay? Okay, so for me, if I have my niece and my nephew and my other nephew, everybody's just gonna get what everybody gets if we're all together, especially at the same time. Like, if I'm out with my kids and Malik, you think Malik's not gonna get a Happy Meal? No. That would be problematic, you know? I guess this kind of is like the guy that's the baby daddy that only has 1 kid with the mom, and the mom is expecting him to buy the other 3 kids the stuff. I feel like this is along those same lines, but not really, because this is like, those are not his kids, but this is like niece and nephew, and like nieces and nephew. Like, it's different. And we're not even talking about food, but like, I'm just like, I am not trying to deal with the headache, and then her kids don't want to share, or her son don't want to share, and like, I don't want to deal with the headache. So if we're gonna buy these chairs for story time, let's just get 4 beanbag chairs and call it a day. That's really all the conversation was in the Walmart. And so we ended up getting all 4 chairs. And so we get the 4 chairs, and we were giggling about buying the chairs because we knew my mom was gonna kill us. We were giggling about buying the chairs. We just knew my mom was gonna have an issue. She's like, you guys are buying more stuff. Like, we are grown. But like, yeah, my mom would be like, this is one more thing for me to pick up after these damn kids. Like, I can't. And so that's why we were laughing, because we were like, Mom is gonna cuss us out. And so we were literally giggling about this, right? And this is why this part of the story is so like ass backwards. Anyway, we're in the store, we go to the checkout, and then we get home and it's story time for the kids. But when it was story time, all the beanbags came out. We were sat in my sister's room and we were reading books. And when my mom came into the room and she saw the beanbag, she's like, "Oh, where them come from?" Oh my gosh. So me and my sister are dying laughing about the chairs. Fast forward, which we're probably gonna talk about this again because it's important to the story. Fast forward, after my sister must have gone into my mom's room for whatever reason, and my mom says something to her about the chairs. This girl tried to say that I forced her to buy the chairs for my kids. And I was saying, like, if my kids can't get it, then nobody can get it, and all this stuff. And I'm like, baby, you are grown. You are 10 years older than me. I forced you. I forced you. I forced you. And I'm like, no, Mom, she did not tell you that that's how it went. She's like, yes, she did. And I'm like, that is not how it went. That is not fair. But keep in mind, this conversation happens and my mom's holding it down. She doesn't say anything to me right away. It's only when stuff started to not add up that my mom brought up the chairs.
If 2 + 2 is 4 and 5 + 5 is 10, what the fuck is this?
Because she was trying to make 1 and 1 equal 2, and it was not. What was it equaling? 11, 12, but it was not giving 2. So my mom has her eyebrows raised after a certain point, but like I said, we gonna get there when we get there. Either which way, she told my mom that I forced her to purchase the chairs, and she was really just trying to take the heat off of herself because nobody needed the chairs. Literally nobody. My kids didn't need the beanbag chairs, and her kids didn't need the beanbag chairs. She was only getting the chairs because my kids, there wasn't even space in her room for those chairs. But because her kids kept going in my kids' room and sitting on their round chairs, she decided that she needed to get chairs for them as well. And that's really how this started. But I'm like, we're not gonna play the blame game here. We're grown. And if she didn't want to get the chairs, she should have been like, I'm not buying the chairs. Period. If you want to get the chairs for your kids, then you get them. Ain't that how it's supposed to go? But because it was a reoccurring theme at the house, where if my kids had something and she would either run out and go get it, and then my kids are like boo-hooing because they're kids, you know? It's not like it's an adult situation where an adult is buying something and another adult is, well, that's actually exactly what it was. And another adult is like, well, you got that, I want that too. No. The kids were giving too much drama every time my sister would buy something, and they just felt excluded. And so I'm like, you can't keep doing that. Like, it's too much. It's too much for me to handle. Like, it's too much for anybody to handle, because we all got to sit there and listen to it. So yeah, I guess I'm just giving you guys the examples of things that were happening that were like that. Even where the birthday parties were concerned, obviously Belle's party, well, Salem had her party before they got here. So then when Belle's party happened, I went to like Party City and got all this stuff and got a giant, she had a Peppa Pig party, so I got her a giant Peppa Pig balloon. I'm probably gonna end up leaving out a whole bunch of detail from the story, but pretty much there was just a lot of weird activity going on. Because this concludes in 2 more parts, I guess I have to start telling you guys about where the money was really starting to be an issue. So my mother and myself are both under the impression that money is not an issue. Money ain't never gonna be an issue, okay? All these government grants, all this, 3 years of pay, like, it ain't never gonna be no thing about the money, so we're not worried about the money. Anyway, even though we see the spending habits are a little astronomical, we're not thinking anything, because obviously if she's spending the money and Amazon packages are coming to the house every single day to the point where we have an embarrassing amount of recycling, why would we think anything would be wrong with the money? So the dick measuring got out of hand when after Nola was born. I don't even remember how many months she was, but it appeared as though she needed her own damn iPad. And I said, oh Lord, 3 iPads? These kids is getting expensive for real. But then iPads last forever, right? Like Salem's had her iPad since the beginning of the Stone Age. Okay, Salem's iPad is literally from, did I replace it already? Is it replaced? No, I literally have had I've had Salem's iPad since 2017. So they last forever. They last a long time. So everybody that's born gets an iPad. Okay. Nola was looking like she needed her own iPad. And so I'm like, frig. And so at this time, my sister had HomePods, and she was like, you gotta get HomePods, right? To like play music in your room, you know, whatever. And so I'm like, HomePod, well, what's that? I thought it was just a speaker, but it's not just a speaker. It's a HomePod. So I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, well, you need 2. You could connect them as like a stereo, or you could connect like 10 of them at the same time in the whole house and just have music going in every room. Same song, different song, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'll get 2 HomePods for my bedroom. One can stay in the bathroom, and then one can stay in like the actual room part. So I'm buying the iPad for Nola, and I throw 2 HomePods in my cart as well. And I put it on my mom's credit card. I couldn't go to pick it up that day for whatever reason. So I just asked my sister, hey, can you do me a favor and pick up my Apple stuff for me later at the Apple store? And she's like, yeah, sure. Apparently, I'm not allowed to just buy Apple stuff, okay? So after she picks up my Apple stuff, literally, probably on the drive back home, she decides she needs to buy more Apple items too, which is strange because for the time she moved here until a few months after Nola was born, she had already purchased AirPods, iMac, HomePods, a new iPhone. Ka-ching, 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 ka-ching! Like the ka-ching! Like the money was just the money. And whose money was it? Girl, I don't know, girl. Want hers? Anyway, all these things, okay, she already purchased all those Apple products. She ain't had no Apple products other than her old phone when she got here. So now she's buying all this stuff. So I buy the HomePods and the iPad for Nola. Not even 24 hours later, this girl purchases an Apple Watch. And in order to get to purchasing the Apple Watch, she goes and convinces my mom that my mom needs HomePods. What the hell she need HomePods for, girl? No, she really did. She needed some music in her room. She's always asking for music in her room. So my sister was telling her, she goes to her and tells her she needs to get HomePods. When I think about it now, I'm like, she probably told me to buy the HomePods because she was thinking she can piggyback on my purchase, but she couldn't. So she goes and convinces my mom that my mom needs to get HomePod. And so my mom says, yeah. My mom didn't even know what a HomePod was, just like I didn't know what a HomePod was. So she tells my mom to get the HomePods, and my mom says, okay, order them for me. Big mistake. Big. Huge. Huge. Okay, it was giving Pretty Woman. So she tells her to order them for her. And when she went to order my mom's HomePods, she's like, well, since I'm ordering HomePods, I'm gonna just fling a little Apple Watch in there. She sure did do that. So she orders the Apple Watch and the HomePods. So when I made my HomePod purchase and my iPad purchase, that was like maybe $800 for that transaction. And then less than 24 hours later, a second Apple store purchase on the same credit card. Keep in mind, this is after my mom said, hey, only one person per card. So you tell me, why would my sister be using the card that she's not supposed to be using? Could it be that the other card that she has that she's supposed to be using is maxed? I don't know. We're going to find out next time on the next Dragon Ball Z. We don't know that she used the card yet. We don't know that she used this card to make her Apple purchase. Any credit card company in the world, if they see Apple 2 days in a row, they gonna red flag the hell out of that card. They're gonna be like, something not right here. Especially because they know my mom's spending habits. They know. And so a few times during this process, they had to call her and be like, is this you, ma'am? Is this you? Because we know you don't shop like this, ma'am. And you running up this card. And she's like, it's fine. It's my daughter. It's fine. So they left it alone. But when the 2 Apple purchases happen, when one is $800 and the next day is 9 something, the credit card company is looking like, yeah, no, shut it down. Like, shut it down. What's happening? But we don't know that. So the following day, the Wednesday, my mom needs to go out to run a few errands. Keep in mind, she's already kind of stressed about stuff, but like this was about to really stress her out. She sees, I think, nightstands that she really needs because she had purchased nightstands from Wayfair and they came, girl, they might as well have been, remember the lady that ordered a couch thinking it was a real person's couch and it was a dog couch? So it was very much giving that. It was giving Alice in Wonderland furniture, okay? So she bought these nightstands from Wayfair, and when they came and we put them together, we're like, these don't work in the room. So one day my mom was out, she's at home, and she sees the nightstand she really likes, and she's like, I have to get these. Baby, she goes to HomeSense and she does a little swipey swipe with her card. Declined. My mama knows her balance is not max anymore, right? Or her card is not max, but she gets declined. So now she's embarrassed and she's like, oh, let me just try my other card. I'll see you guys for part 6 and 7.